all those passengers of all those 4 buses who had arrived from the Ukrainian side. So we believe that all those routes should be splitted. So this will simplify the crossing of checkpoint for people. The third item is that current procedure of crossing the contact line says that a child could cross the contact line, may cross it with just one parent, but to take the same child back to across the contact line, the consent of the second parent should be present. But many people who do this and mothers who cross the contact line in Ukrainian direction and withdraw their money or social aid from account here in Ukraine, in mainland Ukraine, then going back, they face difficulties when crossing the contact line back. So the office, I believe that people should be better informed, either some warning signs or personal warning of officers when they see a woman crossing the contact line with a child, with a kid. In general, the personnel is rather polite, but once we observed a case when one man left his car at the right side road. He left his car. And the officer of border service who was passing by, he damaged the wheels of the car, seeing nobody in the car. As for the bribery at the checkpoints, we never registered at the checkpoints, even when there are attempts to bribe the border guards, they reject to take this. But when there are people with specific needs, like disabled people, like people with babies, like some other categories, very aged people, for them there is a separate line, and some people mentioned that they paid 200 hryvnia to be included into this privileged shorter line. Usually those bribes are given by taxi drivers who bring people to the nearest destination point. When people, quite often people cross the checkpoint from occupied territory, withdraw money, withdraw social aid, buy foodstuff, and pass the checkpoint in back direction. The 80% of those people who cross the checkpoint, they up to 80%, and that's why Donetsk Oblast authorities decided to create logistic centers in those gray area, to create markets there. Unfortunately, those logistic centers do not function properly. Many people are not aware about them. There are not many vendors, and when you go to such logistic center, people are given just different documents to escape the general line. But actually, people who spend up to 7 hours in long line, there is no necessity to go to the logistics center when they just go into the controlled territory, government controlled territory, and buy everything necessary. Also, during our monitoring, we witnessed the resistance from resistance to our monitors. Just about that case when the wheels were damaged, we produced an official claim to the chief of the border service in that oblast. The same night, our tent was damaged again, was cut with a knife. Also at Zaitseve checkpoint, when some check mission from the military service arrived and had seen our tent at the checkpoint. First, they requested us to move it 100 meters into the controlled territory. But the next day, when our monitors arrived to the checkpoint, we were deprived from the access. So this did not spoil the results of our monitoring, because it was approaching to its end at that time, but nevertheless we registered this case. The results and general report on our monitoring is available on our website. You can download it freely. Thank you, dear friends. We will supplement your report to our press release on your briefing. Thank you very much. And now we have a short Q&A session.
Andriy Bogdanovich. We also are dealing with these issues, and I have a question on these queues for special needs people, and there's no documentation on these queues, and someone made it artificially. And you said about the categories, and who established those categories? And the main question, and maybe these queues are specially designed by border guards or other people to earn some money. Of course, this is not envisaged by the order we spoke about, but there should be some possibility for those people who can't wait long. For example, disabled people, elderly, or people with kids. It will be good that they are they can pass easily. But there can be some corruption, and bodyguards, they can demand some money or to take the money to put the person in that special queue. And for me, this is not correct because there can be some corruption scheme there. I can add, Alexander, it's some sort of societal agreement. Even in the public transportation, it is written that you should provide places to elderly, to children, disabled. So this is a logic example of social agreement. And maybe if the conditions of this agreement are misused, it can include some corruption. But practice shows that this is normal to help a person with a child or an elderly person. Громадское radio. Question to Andriy on the violations. There was a case. People went from the uncontrolled territories to Gorlovka to uncontrolled territory, and money was confiscated from these people. Is this a singular example, and how do you manage to deal with these issues? Because these people were they didn't detain this person, but they declared that these people are terrorists, and confiscations happen. And what is the? There were some cases. One was when a person brought a lot of money, and the person was detained, and they. I don't remember exactly the details of the case, but the person was detained, the money was confiscated, and at that time, the information that we had then, they wanted to start a case on financing the terrorism. But what was the consequence? We don't know, because this is. We didn't contact the investigators, and we don't know the final results of this case. Do you have other questions or comments? If there's no comments or questions, thank you very much, dear friends. Until the next time, goodbye.